Welcome back, Mr. Muhammad, Ms. Demian, Ms. Sheila. Let's get on with our thoughts and reflections. Okay. If you may remind me of the previous one who read, was it Mr. Muhammad or Ms. Sheila?
I read it
Oh,
last.
okay. Thank you. All right. Now, let us move downwards into the other paragraph. Ms. Demian, if you were able to read, please let me know. Feel free. Um, I think because of the headset, you said I'm not available. Ms. Sheila, go ahead, read this other paragraph.
Okay, how could it not have an architect? Its rooms are reshaped and altered hourly, as easy and orderly as changing clothes or shifting one scene to another on a movie screen. In addition, numerous little rooms are continually created in each sense. Continue.
Continue.
Rather, okay. Link-like manner, the universe's very existence requires us an infinitely wise, all-knowing, and all-powerful maker.
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So, the way it is being formulated is very beautiful and elegant. That he likens everything, every phenomenon as rooms that are being reshaped and altered hourly. And interestingly, whatever that is being altered means changed. It is as a result of its previous causes or sources, so to speak. So, for example, if an old generation gets altered, they're going to leave behind, most generally speaking. Or imagine a forest is being altered through autumn or during autumn. Generally, the leaves are falling, and we see a change in alteration. It is, if then the spring comes, the new scene is due to the previous ancestors, so to speak. So there's a link. There's not a mislink. Okay, there's a link in the alterations. In every spring, when things are coming about, when the trees and the animals and the vegetables are going to come back to life, they're not going to come back out of nothing. They're going to come back on the seeds, on the kernels of the previous spring that is being preserved through nature. It's very interesting how it happens. Okay, one day I want to scientifically talk more about how it happens and how it shows the all-preserving nature of God. That God is the Hafiz, He preserves, and He actually preserves and makes it dormant for a while. Then in the other spring is gonna come back to life miraculously. And this other sentence is very philosophically rich. That the universe's very existence requires an infinitely wise and all-knowing, all-powerful God, maker. So there is a philosophical perennial question that says, why is there something rather than nothing? That is a deeper question as to how things move, how the planets are governed by constant physical laws, how an object is being acted out by another object. These are the behavior of of nature, of the universe. This is not the fundamental question. The fundamental question is the existence of the whole thing. You see what I mean? And the existence of the universe, that everything, that there's something as opposed to nothing, is starting on the spiritual journey, and we're going to get God in every step and at the end of the steps. It's not like we're going to get God at the end, or God is the unmoved mover, that God started everything and left it alone to its devices. Yes, the very existence of things require God that is all knowing, all wise, that in the initial conditions of the universe, as far as we know, life, the conditions were such that life would be permitted later. So it is as if everything is thought out through from the very, very get-go, from the very, very beginning. And I'm gonna send a video later that ChatGPT is asked, tell me the most logical explanation for the existence of anything and everything. the existence of the universe. And ChatGPT goes from the contingency argument, that is an argument in kalam, in theology, for proving that there is a source for everything, that everything is contingent, dependent on other things. Right now, I'm sitting down, I'm contingent for my sitting on my sofa, and the sofa is contingent on the ground. The ground is contingent on basically on the earth. The earth is contingent on other laws or the solar system, and the solar system is contingent on physical laws. So you go and go and go until you either go into infinite regress, which is illogical, okay? Means you go back infinity to infinity, which is logically impossible and scientifically impossible, or you're going to accept that there is a source that everything is dependent. And this source has to have qualities, has to have the quality of will, has to have the quality and characteristic of knowledge, of power, of wisdom, and in itself, it shouldn't be physical. If it is physical, then we're going to get into the infinite regress. And it proves pure logic, not from anybody who said this or that, pure conditioning and training of logic, that the only logical requirement is there is a necessary being. Have you heard of this phrase, necessary being? واجب الوجود.
Yeah,
might,
yeah.
yeah.
I've heard.
This was developed by Ibn Sina and developed later in the Western tradition by Leibniz and the others. That there is a necessary being, that its existence is not required or explained by other factors. It itself, in his nature, is to exist. His essence is to exist, and his existence is required by his essence. He is not to exist. He cannot not exist. He exists by his very nature, necessary being.
Yeah,
Every other thing,
self-sustained.
self-sustaining, yes.
Yeah,
The other things, our existence is not coming from our essence. Our existence is defined and accounted and explained for by other causes, by other conditions. For me to exist, I could have not existed. We're called mumkin al-wujud. God is wajib al-wujud. We're mumkin al-wujud. I could have not existed. Sure, it's logical, it's perceivable that anything that comes into existence could have not existed. Anything that comes to existence could have not existed. But God is not a thing that comes to existence. Everything flows from it, from his effulgence. Effulgence. Okay. Okay, Mr. Muhammad, read from time until that.
time is like a suspend rope upon which the all-majestic Maker threads a new world annually.
Continue.
How can you deny the sun's existence? How can you deny the sun's existence at noon on a cloudless day, when its presence is reflected in every bubble on the surface of the sea, and in all transparent objects on the earth? To do so means you believe that each bubble and transparent object contains a miniature, real and existent sun. That
Continue.
should I
Yeah,
continue
continue.
from the highlighted one or from
That each,
each?
no, from here. From that each.
That each minute
Minute.
particle contains
Minute means small. Minute. It has a
sorry.
sure.
That each minute particle contains a massive sun, although that particle has room enough only for itself. Similarly, it could be greater lunacy not to affirm the existence of the all-majestic Creator with his attributes of perfection while witnessing his orderly universe, which continually changes in systematic, purposive ways and is ceaselessly renewed in an orderly manner. Denying him means believing that every existent thing has absolute divinity.
Yeah, this is an argument unique to him. Okay, tell me, what do you understand from this? What does it mean that it is presence? Okay, imagine we have the sun at noon, and this presence is reflected in every bubble on the surface of the sea and in all transparent objects on the earth. So how is that related to God? And if you believe that in each bubble and transparent object contains a real sun, imagine the sun hits me, or its sun hits the water, and I feel that Okay, let me not spoil it, but let's see what you understand like this. How is that related to God? It's an analogy between the sun and the sun's rays and sunlight touching everything in the world. Do you think everything that's been touched by the sunlight contains the sun?
No, of course not. This is an analogy that is a great analogy. Um, uh, the sun is um, um, represents God, that He created us, and we are the reflecting of His light. We are reflecting of His power, and as if we are the light in the bubble. I think it's Said Nursi wants to say that.
Okay, fair enough. Very good approximation. Excellent. Ms. Gila and Ms. Demi, what do you understand by this? Yeah, Mr. Muhammad has explained beautifully. What is your own understanding of this? How is God seen as a sun, and how his light is touching us? What does it mean, God's light touching everything in creation, and everything is like a bubble receiving God's light? Do you have any thoughts? Okay. As you may be formulating some thoughts, I want to just add something more, and that is, I understand God's lights as names and attributes again. And once we receive the names and attributes of God, we could be beautiful, we could be wise, we could be knowledgeable and having all of these traits. But these are not ours. Just as the bubble that receives the actual sunlight, the light in the bubble, the light on the surface of the water, this light it doesn't belong to the water. The water shouldn't be arrogant and think that the light that I have is my light. I don't care about the source of the light. I have it. It has always been here. No, it's not always been here. The light from the sun has shed on it. You see? And the same is similarly by analogy that God has given us all of these attributes that we at best as mirrors reflect God's attributes and God's names. These names are not like names as us. Our names are not functional. Our names are not causal or causative. If I say Ahmed, does anything change in the world? Is there any change that happens just because of my name? No. But God's name are not like names. When we say God is all wise, it doesn't mean just all wise. It actually, God's names are causal. It causes things to come in the world. Ibn Arabi says the world is nothing but the interplay of God's names and attributes. Everything you see is there and is remain there because of God's names and attributes working on it and working through it. Okay. So, modern natural science believes that things have their own agency, like a particle or an atom or a cell divides itself, right? The organs are working as if all the powers that God has is given and attributed to the things that have received it from God. And they have taken God out of it. And it has not been like that in the beginning. Newton, when he would find any natural law, the law of universal gravitation, the first law of motion, the second law, the third law that we have studied back in the days at school, all of these laws for Newton showed God's hand in nature. But over time, God's hand was removed and things were accounted for themselves, that nature has everything to be explaining itself. Okay. And one more thing, that's just an analogy. We have the idea of a mirror and the idea of a marmar. Okay, this is very interesting. Badiou Zaman also talks about marmar as well. That God, us human beings, we're not even mirrors, because if you say I'm a mirror, it means I exist. I'm a mirror that reflects God's name of, uh, let's say, knowledge or wisdom, whatever. Imagine a mother. What do you think as a mother is a mirror of? What do you think a mother mirrors from God? A mother's nature. What attribute or name of God does a mother reflect?
Merciful, I think.
Mercy,
Compassion.
compassion. What about a father generally? What does a father reflect in his nature as a father?
Sustainer. caring. I don't know.
Yes, Yalla. Ms. Sheila, Mr. What about you guys' thoughts? Says the sun lights up to the world, giving life to everything it touches, but it didn't create itself. The same way the universe and everything in it must have a creator, God, the source of all life and order. Protector. Excellent. Yes. And the idea, Ms. Sheila, is that the sun touches everything, but the thing that's being touched doesn't contain the sun's qualities. It doesn't contain the sun. اوكي بەڵام بەریکەوتو ینی لە باتی بڵێ دەست خۆش بێستانە کە تۆ لە فۆتۆسنتێسیسا بەرێکەوێ ئەڵێ من خۆم هەم شتەکانم تیا پێویستم بە سەن نیە لێرە خی گەورە بڵێن ماوەسە سعید سەن ئەشوبهێنێ بەخوا تامان خی گەورە هیچ ئەناڵۆژی نییە بۆی بەڵام بۆ تێکەشتنی مرۆڤەکان بەکاری هێنا protector yes and خی گەورەش تامان حافظە پرتەکتەرە ئەو ناوانەی هەموو ناوانی کە لە مرۆڤ هەیە لە خی گەورەش هەیە بەڵام یەکشت هەیە ئێمە وشەی مەرمەر باشە بەکاربێن بۆچی چکە مەرمەر پیاتێ ئەپەڕێ میرۆر ئەیگرێ ئینجای داتۆ ئەنی تەنان مرۆڤ سروشتمان ئەوە نییە کە ئێمە خۆمان سروشتێکمان هەبێ و شتێک بین و ئیگوێکمان هەبێ بەڵە وەڵام من زۆر زەخمم من وەکو ئاوێنەیەکم سیفات و ناوکانی خی گەورە ڕنگ پێدەمەوە ئەو کاتە تۆزە ئیگوی تایە هەست ناکەن کەوا بێت بەڵام ئەگەر وەکو مەرمەڕێک سەیری سروشتی خۆکی کە مامۆستای زۆر باس مەرمەڕەکە بەس دیار لە ئینگلیزیەکە زۆر باس هاڵێ نەگەیشتووە مەرمەر پیاتێ ئەپەڕای خۆی ئەو نیە بیگرێ پیاتەیە پەڕیانی تێگەی ئەو نیە بیگرێت و بیداتەوە
عفو مرمر بس وشەکە بواتای تریشیە مەڕۆ بەس و پەنجەرێ ئاوێنەیەش بەس و
ینی سەیکە نایگرێتەوە ینی پیاتی ئەپڕ لۆ دیو ئەیبینی نەکەوی لە ناو خۆیان ئاوێنەیە کەچی دەبێتەمی تۆ
پەنجەرێ
وەکو پەنجەرێک وایە بەڵێ وەکو پەنجەرێک وایە کە پیاتی ئەپەڕێ نەگۆکو ئاوێنەیەکیش ئەمە بۆی کە مرۆڤ لە ڕووی ئیگۆشتۆ شتی بۆ دروست نەبێ ینی کەشێ درست بێ ئەو ئانەڵۆژە زۆر باشە چکە دوجار ئێمە هیچ نییە ینی حساب کە هەر شتێکە تۆ ئێستا بیرێکی توی خۆتی خۆت نییە هەر بەشتی يعني بۆیە ئێستا دۆزێک ئیگۆشتی ئەوە دنیای پێ نەدرێ لەو لایەنەوە سەری خۆمانکی سەری هەموو شتێکیشکی هەموو شتێک ئاەتە ئاەت بواتەی هەموو شتێک ئاین لە سا یەکی لەباری خۆی بێسان نەونی لەباری خۆی نییە ینی تێگە لەباری شتێکی ترەوێت اوكي
ڕاستە هەر ئەو ئاوێنە باسی ئاوێنێت کرد باسی مەڕماڕت کرد ینی بەپێی پاکی تۆ پەنجەرەکە ئەتوانی زیاتر
شتەکان
تشکی پێات تێپەڕێت ئەو دی و جوانتر ببینی
جوانە
تاوەکو بە باشتری بە مایندێکی ئینتەڵێکتەوە بە دڵێکی پاکەوە نورێکی زیاترەوە تۆ توانی
دەم خۆش
ئەو دی ئاوێنەکە ببینی ئەو دی پەنجەرەکە بڵێن
دەم خۆش ڕاست زەکە جوانە تاواتی اوكي for example نجي لك go ahead from for example
For example, an atom of air easily enters and works in a flower, a fruit, or a leaf. The denial of this atom being employed by someone others comes to mean that it knows the structure and form of all objects it penetrates and affects. It must have an all-encompassing power and knowledge, or a soil atom enables countless different seeds to grow. If it is not acting under command, it must have the means and instruments appropriate to tell all trees and plants, or it must have such knowledge and power that it knows the structure and all forms of each plant and fashions those forms.
مە زۆر جوان تۆ بڵێن عەرزێک تۆ لە عەرزێک ئەتوانی ناوکی خورما ناوکی پرتەقاڵ سێ و هەموو ئەوانە هەڵیتە ناو عەرزەکەەوە وانە ئەگەر بڵین پێماوە بێ ئەم عەرزە ئەم خۆڵە کە واکە چەنەها ناوکی جیاواز گەورە بێتایە ئەگە بڵێن ئەمە هیچ فەرمانە وەرناگرێ ئەبێ ئەو کاتە ئەبێ بڵین ئەبێ هەموو ئەو کەرستە و ئامرازانی هەبێت کە وا بکە ئاسانی بکە ئەم دارە جیاوازانە گەورە بن شکۆفە بکەن و ئەبێ زانستی هەبێت کە هەرێکە کامێت چکە تۆ کە سێوەکەی تێگەی بە سێوەکەی واتە دەڕێت ئایتێکی نا لی تێک ناچێت بچێت زارم بیگۆڕێت یاخۆت هێزی هەبێت چکە بتوانێت تۆ ئەم سۆیلەکە دێت هێزێکی تیا کامە دێتە سەر یعنی ئەبێت یەک دنیا تۆ هێز و قودرەتێکی زۆربەی بە ئاتۆمەکانی سۆیلەکە یا ئەوەیە هەموو ئەتۆمێک بە جۆرە جۆرەکان هەموو ئەتۆمی سۆیلێک هینی تایە نی ها جۆرێک لە تەشبیه نەبێ there is a divinity ینی خوایەتی تابێت ئەو سیفەتانی خوای گەوری تابێت یاخود ئەوە بێت کە ئەمە لەژێر فەرمانەکە ئەوواکە قڕمیش کراوە بەواتایکیتر هەموو زانیارەکانی پێدراوە اینجا ئیشەکە بۆ چۆن چاجیبیتیەک ئایا پێش تری نەکرێت اینجا دواتر دێت هشتەکان تێکەڵ ناکە بەڵام تری نەکرا چۆن نتوانێشی کواکە ئەنی ناکرێت تری نەکرێت یان ئەوەی ترینەکە نەیچەر خۆی کردوێتی کەیتر خۆشی نەیچەر شتێک نییە بڵێ نەیچەر وەکو هێزەویت نەیچەر خۆی گشتی ئەوەی کە هەیە پێڵی نەیچەر دار و بەرد و شاخ و هەموو ئەمانە یەکڵی یاساکانە کوێ بێتەوە یان چی دروستە بێت یان نەیچەر خۆیکە یانە بێ ئەوی کە نەیچەری دروست کردووە لەم بینە کامیان possible ترە logically ئەوە لەم کتێبە زۆر بە جوای باس اوكي Oh, let's say how is those Jonathan? So there's many interesting things said about air. Right now, we're speaking. If there is no air medium, how can we speak? Don't you recognize that the air sort of understands the particular sounds that are making, and it carries like a submitted agent of God. It carries all my sounds without distorting it to your ears through this medium. The air works perfectly and wonderfully. It doesn't distort things. Okay, Mr. Muhammad, from to create.
کاک ئەحمەد تخوا پێشەوەی بڕۆین بابەتێکی تر حەزم شتێک بڵێم هەر ماڵسعید لە شوێنێکا باسیەکات ئەڵێت خۆی گەورەترین کێشەی ئێمە ئەوەیە کە ئولفە دەگرین بە شتەکانەوە ئولفەتگرتنیش چییە؟ ئولفە دەوەیە کە تۆ یعنی چۆنە قەدر و قیمەتی شتێک نازانی ڕای لەگەڵ ئەو شتەیە مثلا نمونەیەک کامەوێت تا تێبگەن مثلا تۆ سوورەتی فاتحات الله أكبر یەکسەر سوورەتی فاتحای خوێنی ئولفەت و پێوە گرتووە لەوانە نییە بیر لەوە تاکەیکەیتەوە بیر لەوەکەیتەوە چیوشەیەک دوای ئەلحەمدولیلاکەیەت یەکسەرێڵی ئولفەت و پێوە گرتووە جا ماوەسعید دەڵێ گەورەترین کێشێت و ئولفەتگیری بە شتەکانەوە بێ هەوڵ دایما هەوڵی شکاندنی ئولفەتانە بی مثلا تۆ هەموو ڕۆژە گەڵەسی لەخۆ پەرداخێک ئاوەخیتەوە یعنی وا مەزانە ئاوەکە هەرێ بێ موجود بێ نانێکە خۆم وا مەزانە نانەکە هەرێ بێ موجود بێ ئەم نیعمەتانە کرە بە دەستمانەیە هەوا هەرێ بێ موجود بێ ئەمانە خۆیانە نیعمەتێکن کە بێ مقابل پێمان دراوە ئیسە باسی هەوات کرد یعنی هەر ئەوەی کە هەوایەکی پاک هەیە ولفەتی نابێت پێوەگەین هەر لەگەڵ هەناسەدانێکە بێن بماکەوێتەوە مێ چ نیعمەتێکە خوا پێیاوین هەر ڕێتە سەر سفرەیە لەوانەیە لە 15 شوێن و لە 15 زەراعەوە لە 15 فارمەوە بەس خواردن ئامادە کراویم جاهات بێت لەسەر و سفرەیتەوە ئیتر نابێت و ئولفەتی پێوەگری شوتیە لە میوەکانە لە پرتەقاڵە ئەمانە ولفەتی ناپێوەگری ماوەسعید لە شەنەکاڵێ ئەو عەفو ئەحمەد
چۆن حەلیەکەیت یعنی چۆن ئولفەت نەگرین بەڕای تۆ
والله هەر ئەوەیە نۆڵەج و هەبێ نۆڵەجێکت هەبێ جا بەجددی دانیشی بیرکەیتەوە ئەوەنە دیستراکشنن لا نەبێت یعنی کار بێ بە خۆت بیر لەم شتانەکەیتەوە مثلا بەسیترین شت ئەوەیە کە لەم سەردەمەم تووشی بین ئەم مۆبایلەیە کە یەک لەحزە نایڵێمی بیرکەینەوە یەک لەحزە یعنی کە مۆبایل لابێت ئینجا هەڵی باش پلانێم بۆم چی بێ ئەوە چی بێ ینی هەموو شتەکانمە سوپەرفیشیاڵە هەموو شتەکانمان ڕووکەشیە شتێکی قوڵ نەماوەتەوە ئیتر تۆ نەچیتە قوڵای ئەم شتانەش تەبعەن هەست پێ ناکەی ئیتر لە ماسایل لە شوێنێکە شتێکی زۆر جوانە لێ بۆ نمونەکە تۆ میوەیەکت هەیە یاخود خواردنێکت هەیە ئەو پارەی لە مقابلی میوەکات و ئەی بە شتێک و ئەیکڕی پارەی خودی میوەکە نییە قیمەتی میوەکە نییە بەڵکو پارەی هیلاکبوونی دروستکردنەکە و هێنانەکەیەتی مثلا با بڵێن شووتیەکە کە لەم دەشتی شارە زوور و چوزانە پێنجێنمانە حازرێکرێ فەلاحەکە ڕوا ئاوی عەرزەکەی تاو بۆ ئەکێڵێت و ئاوی بۆ ئێنێت و دەرمانی بۆ ئێنێت و ئەمانە تۆ لە کۆتایە کیلۆیە کڕی مەسەلەن بە 1000 ئەمە ئەم 1000 قیمەتی شوودەکە نییە ینی لەوە لێما تێک نەچێت قیمەتی شوودەکە نییە شوودەکە ینی ئەوەنە بەبەهایە ئەوەنە بەبەهایە تۆ ناتوانیت لە مقابلی شتێکی بێت ینی ئولفەتگرتن بەم شتانە زۆر مشکلەیە تر حەزم کردەوە بابەتە بڵێم شتێکی جوان بەناوە
ڕاست ینی تفکرین کرد یەکێک بێ لە خاڵە ئەساسەکان عرفی پێ نەگرێ exactly تفکرین
تۆ چۆن ئەڵێیت ئولفەت بشکێنین ئەو ئولفەتانە بەڕێیتەوە
وەڵاهی من پێم وایە پەیوەندی بە تفکرین و عیلمی کە هەردووتان باسان کرد لەگەڵ ئەوەشە پێم وایە سوپاسگوزاری هەر هەستی ئەوەی کە ئینسان سوپاسگوزار بێ حتی لە سوپاسگوزاریە تۆ لەگەڵ خۆت ئایزاتە ئەو شتێک کە بەرت کەوتووە کارگەکەی لەناو خۆتا پێ هەست پێکرد کاتێک ئولفەت ناگریمە دایک باوکمانە ئەوەی کە دانیشین سوپاسگوزار بین بەرامبەریان کات ئوفناگرین بەرامبەر شتەکانی ئەو بابەتی شکرە زۆ گرنگێکە لە ئاینە هەیە ئەمە کەمتر دیقەتین یعنی هەر شتێکە خۆی هەموو شت لە خۆی گەورە دێت بە تاڵ و شیرینەکەشەوە ئێمە تا ڕادێ شکرانە بژێری ئەو باری خوا بین کە بەسەر ملمانەوەی هەستەکەم ئەو پراکتسی سوپاسگوزاری گراتیتودە واکە کە شتەکان چێژەکەی تا ببین یعنی وردەکارێکی تا ببین ئەکرێت کە ئەمە نەبووە یعنی شاکرین کە ئەو شتاکرێن نەبووە خۆت يعني و self consciousness يش خود ئاگایی يعني دووبارە تۆ بە خۆتت لە دیستراکشنان زۆر ڕۆنەچین لەگەڵ خۆمانە بین کات لەگەڵ خۆمانین self consciousین يعني یەکە لەو خاڵانی مرۆڤ جیاکاتۆ لە ئاژەڵیتر ئەوەیە کە ئێمە ئاگادارین بە خودی خۆمان نەگەوی بەس conscious بین بە شتەکانی ترەوە بە خۆشمان
Oh,
ئاگات. Okay, thank you
oh,
for
that's
your
so good.
contributions, all of you. Okay, Mr. Means plans. Okay, Mr. Muhammad, read from 2.
To create everything from one thing and to make everything into one thing.
Hmm. It's very, very deep. What do you understand by creating everything?
Yeah.
I mean, what does God do when he creates everything from one thing? What do you understand by this? What do you understand? How is he creating everything from one thing?
I think basically he means that every variation in things fundamentally are the same, are atoms and elements. It's like, for example, the soil and water and sun and air, these four things can create limitless amounts of fruits and um, uh, foods
Okay.
just from these four things.
Or elements.
It's just like creating everything from one thing.
Okay, fair enough. So we could have, yeah, the soil, the sun, very minimal amounts of elements could be creating a huge host variety of things. Or as you said, atoms
Yeah.
fundamentally on the physical realm, because physics is prior to chemistry and chemistry is prior to biology. So on a physical realm, things are coming out of now they're talking about the waves before the atoms. Like there's this wave in the universe that runs through everything, and everything is an excitation of that wave and stuff. Okay, fair enough. What else do you understand from making everything into one thing? We're all created from Adam, and every one of us is created with a purpose. The purpose is to serve, worship, and excellent. This is a spiritual way to account for it. We're all created from one thing for one thing. You could say that for one thing is a universal worship, worshiping God, recognizing God, loving God, knowing God. Obviously, these are all amount to the same thing. You are directed towards God, so to speak, and we're coming biologically speaking as human beings from Adam and Eve. Excellent. And to make everything into one, when you're thinking right now, can you think of anything in like in the act of cognition? I've read a research that we think fundamentally from the principle of one. If there's not the principle of one embedded within our consciousness or within our thinking process, then we cannot think of anything. It's very interesting. I was like, what is this guy talking about? I mean, he was talking about the principle of one. God is one, obviously. His oneness is manifest and everywhere. But the idea that everything has an individual identity. There's this one thing that I'm looking at, like this one phone, this one laptop. So when I'm looking at something, there must be things having their own one identity. همش لك identity خوي هي يعني سلا شو عدري خوما اما هنا كابيك تشايلر يا موبايلك ميرا هاشتاج لما انا ونسك خوي هي تيجن وانا بوانيدة انا عجايمو طبعا لينك دروس بدو انا بلام هموش تك بوانيدة بفازينات يعني everything is into one thing I mean هموش تك يعني to make everything into one thing يعني هموش تك تعين يكيتك تابين يعني يكبونك تابين principally ونسك تابين من وايت Okay. Uh, continue, Mr. Muhammad. A universe.
A universe must send a noble messenger, just as the sun must emit light.
Yeah, that was an interesting thought.
Yeah.
أمت وأتدري جاتيجي لايت دردا فايقول شكل له لايت أنا أو messenger ship كتاسا there has been 125,000 messengers sent. Okay, continue.
Could the one of infinite essential beauty not will to behold, and have others behold, in numerous mirrors, his beauty's aspects and his grace's dimensions? Could he not do so by means of a beloved messenger, who both makes himself loved by him through his worship and holds up a mirror to him, making him beloved by his creatures and demonstrating the beauty of his names?
Okay, thank you. Okay, so it's very interesting. Let me add a guy whose name was C.S. Lewis, lived around 100 years ago, a very giant mind and heart from the Western tradition. He had a very interesting argument that said in the following. That he said an unfulfillable longing for something more, a natural innate desire that nothing in this world can satisfy, is evidence that humans are made for another world. So he had an argument for the existence of the hereafter that says any desire that we have, there is a satisfaction out there in nature. We have the desire, we look within our soul. God says in the Quran, look within your soul and look within the objective world so that my signs will become manifest. In the Quran, right? So once we obey this verse and we sort of walk and go and explore through our psyche, our soul, then we're going to see that we have a lot of desires. And every single desire is satisfied out there. We have the desire for food, there's this out there we can eat. We have the desire for marriage, there's marriage. We have the desire for, you know, I don't know, for drinking, there's water. Don't we have a very long desire for beauty? Okay. For finite beauties, yes, we have a desire for looking at beautiful things. But what about the ultimate beauty? Don't we have a desire within all of us to connect to God? Do we have it? Do we have a longing?
Of
Humanity,
course,
look at humanity over centuries and millennia. Has there ever been any society that was without religion? Never, none.
no.
And all humans, when they get towards some depth and maturity, they long for God. They long for a lost home. It's like we're in the world, but we're not from the world. Think about that. We're in the world, true, but we're not of the world. We're not made of the world. Like bodily, yes, our satisfactions are there in the world, but our soul, something is missing. And so how do we account for that? Nothing in the world can satisfy God. We can travel, we can go on vacation, we can drink and eat and have billions of dollars, but people kills themselves. There is a spiritual longing, and nothing in the world satisfies. We are separated from our beloved. God gave our soul from his own breath. We're sort of away from his breath, and we long for God. Therefore, we have this longing, this desire for God. Then there must be an afterlife whereby we're going to see God. You see what I mean? This is the argument from longing to see God. Did you get the idea? Did you get the argument?
Yeah.
يعني هیچ شتێکی مادی نییە
Yeah,
پڕیکا
of course.
بەس بۆ
Yes.
کەسیش نابێ بڵێ وڵا ئەو لۆنگی نەبوونی نییە فعلا بوونی هەیە چۆن ئەکسپلینەکەین یەکشتی مادی هەیە ئێڤولوشنەری ئەتوانی ئەکسپلینەکەین ناتوانین بکەین هەر
هلا قبل شك أحمد إنسان حەزی بە مانەوە هەیە يعني حەزی بە نەمری هەیە ئەمە شەرە بێت يعني دیزایرێکە کە
أنا
لە
جا
خواوە پەیمانراوە يعني کەیتر لەو دنیا ئەچینەوە ژیانەوەی کە پێویستمانە
زۆر جوانە من طبعا دۆستۆڤسکی لەسەر لەڤ هەیبوو باشە باسی لەڤەکە لەڤ بۆ خوا هەڵێ خوای گەورە ناکرێت ئەو لەڤی لە منە دا نابێت من چەند ئەو خۆش بێ دوای لاخیرا بیکوژێنێت تێگەی يعني argument from love of God. وأشتغل شو نقاله the more you love God, the more you believe in the existence of God and the immortality of your soul. He actually literally said that. The more you love God and other creatures, the more you are going to be convinced of the existence of God and the existence of the immortality of your soul. نمري روحكم. Okay. Um, so we're here. We read that. Okay, Ms. Sheila, go ahead, read from Could the owner of the universe?
Could the owner of the universe not resolve by means of a messenger our or
Bewilderment.
bewilderment over why there is constant change in the universe and answer the questions in everyone's mind? What is our origin? Where are we headed? What is our purpose here?
Okay.
May I continue?
Yeah, continue, sure.
Could he create us with a disposition to suffer from multiplicity, this world and its charms, alongside an ability to engage in universal worship without
Simultaneously.
simultaneously wanting us to turn away from multiplicity and towards unity by means of a teacher and guide.
Yeah, one of the works that Badiüzzaman Said Nursi tries to achieve is to prove and convince humanity of the necessity of Prophet Muhammad and prophets in general, right? He says that, we are bewildered. Tushi hayranu shok why we're here? Why is there so many changes? Things come and go, right? And the questions that are pestering us, annoying us, that's what is the origin? Where are we headed? What is our purpose? This is one of the functions of the prophets. They're going to answer these. Our origin is from God. We're going to be headed towards Him. And our purpose is to worship Him. This is not gotten out of science or out of philosophy. And he says also that he created us with nature. Disposition means nature. We're going to suffer from multiplicity. Multiplicity means too many things. There are too much things going on, and we suffer from it. And at the same time, we have the ability to worship God. And doesn't He want us to turn away from the world of taksir, the world of multiple things, to the world of unity, that all things are unified? Prophets are going to give us a vision that we can have a unified life, that we see unity in everything, that all unified under the interplay of God's names and attributes. And we get that through the prophets. Okay. And you may ask, no, maybe science is answering. Well, look at science talking about origin. He says there was this singularity that was a moment of infinite energy that got exploded that marked the beginning of our universe. Okay. Is a singularity a material thing? Okay. It doesn't say much about the purposeful beginning of the universe. It just says how it got about. Where are we headed? We're headed towards, I don't know, survival? Survival for what? Well, why do you want to survive? Survive to what? What is our purpose here? Our purpose is to recreate, reproduce and enjoy and try to survive and stuff. You see? It's just vague. It's very incomplete picture. You see? Okay, so we're under a minute, and I know we didn't go thus far, but there was other ideas that I wanted to bring in and add in, and for your thoughts to be shared as well. So any final thoughts before we're gonna call it a beautiful Friday?
Uh, yeah, I want to tell something. Um, I think the lifetime
You may be
before
under 40 seconds, so take your pick for words.
ئابیگەم بە کوردی تا خێرا بڵێم
باش.
گوێم لە مامۆسایگە قسێکی زۆر جوانی کردوتی وەک چۆن ژیانی پێش هاتنی کارەبا و دوای هاتنی کارەبا قەت نابنەوە بێ یەک کارەوەنێکە کارەبا دروست بوو ئیتر ژیان گۆڕا ئیندەستری گۆڕا شێوازی کارکردن گۆڕا ماڵەکان گۆڕا